warehouse and caching in BigQuery. So some of the points will be like revision, and then some new topics here. Okay. So yeah, as we know, like for BigQuery is a data warehouse solution, and it was provided by Google, and it was launched in May 2010, around 10 years back. And Google's BigQuery is a software as a service offering for data warehouse. And it is a pure RDMS SQL based. We write SQL queries here to query the data and get the results, which are which the results are received in fast, like blazing speed within seconds. It doesn't even take minutes, but we very huge amount of data is received within seconds. Yeah, so as we know, it is serverless, highly scalable, and cost-effective cloud data warehouse solution, and designed and provided by Google for business agility. That is, the business is capable of getting gracefully handled using BigQuery. And it, as we know, that it analyzes petabyte of data at blazing fast speed using an size SQL with zero operational overhead, and the results come out within seconds. And the run analytics at scale, like, which is like total cost of ownership is like 26 to 34% than cloud data warehouse alternatives. Like the insights are like they are trusted. It is it's a secure platform that that scales up with your speed. So yeah, so we highly trust BigQuery. We wish to use BigQuery in our projects for handling our vast data. So let's talk about caching here. Caching is valid for for 24 hours. Caching is when we write a SQL query over, and then the results that we receive are cached, and it is saved in a temporary way where it need not always fire the the database again and again if the query is the same. Okay, so and the validity for that query is 24 hours if it is the same query. If there is a change in the query, then again it reaches, it goes to the table to get more results. So BigQuery writes all query results to a table, right? We have all the data stored in a table, and the table is either explicitly identified by the user by at a destination table, or it is a temporary cached table. So you can also have a temporary table or permanent table in BigQuery. So temporary cached results are maintained per user per project. Okay, so with the user within a project, a user would have a way where the cached results would be accessible to him. There are no shortage cost for temporary table storage. I mean, I'm sorry, there are no storage cost for temporary tables. You won't have to pay additional money if the results were retrieved from somewhere which was temporary, or where the data was cached. And but if you write query results to a permanent table, then you will be charged for storing the data. As long as you are accessing the cached data, we won't be charged extra. Unless there is a change in the query, then the table is fired again to get more result, and there could be more cost to the query that we wrote. Okay, and BigQuery caches query results, like for 24 hours. The cached results are valid for 24 hours. And let's see what are the caching limits. Okay, any questions? Please stop me. Okay, so there are some limitations to caching that happens in BigQuery. So using the BigQuery cache is subject to the following limitations. When you run a duplicate query, BigQuery attempts to reuse cached results, right? So to retrieve data from the cache, the duplicate query text must be exactly the same as the original one. As long as the query, there is no change in the query, the data would always be retrieved from the cached table, yeah, or the temporary one. If there is a change, again, as I said, it would again fire from the main table and give you the results. So for query results to persist in a cached result table, the result set must be smaller than the maximum response size. Okay. You cannot target cached results with DML, like the insert, update, delete statements will not work for the cached temporary tables. So it is like mostly for viewing purpose, or to have that result stored in somewhere where we can go back to it and analyze it for instead of firing the table again and again. And we can just have that result stored in a temporary one, and then we can analyze it for some purpose, or have different conditions, and then see what how we can find insights from the data. And next is we will talk about views now. So views is also like same when we have tables in the data set, we can create views, like if you have written SQL queries, and the result that you have received, you can store it in view, and then view it. Then you can use select statement to view that table, uh, to view the results from view instead of that table. So as in BigQuery, views is a virtual table defined by a SQL query. Okay, when you create a view, you query it in the same way you query a table. Like there is no difference. It's same as you are using SQL statement for as you use it for a table. And when a user queries the view, the query results contain data only for the tables and fields specified in the query that defines the view. Like you have written. I have an example. We will have a look how that view would look like. So we have if we write the SQL query and then we create a view of that, and yeah, the results would look the same. That's what it means. You can also use a view as a data source for visualizing tools such as Google Data Studio. So when you create a view, and you also get an option to view to have a view to view that data in Data Studio, which is provided by Google for free, and then you can have different visualization of your data in the view in Data Studio. And so there are some limitations in view. So it's a read only. You cannot make changes to the results, or do anything. You cannot run DML against a view. So the data set that contains your view and the data set that contains the tables referenced by the view must be at the same location. Okay, so the table and the view should belong in the same location. And next it says you cannot run a BigQuery job that exports data from a view. So yeah, so we cannot create a job any other where action is getting performed, where the data is when the data is getting exported from a view. And you cannot make standard SQL and legacy SQL queries when using views. Yeah, as we know that we cannot use DML for views, and the standard SQL query cannot reference a view defined using legacy SQL syntax. There I have to look more into like how the standard and the legacy would make a difference here. But yeah, so these are the limitations we have on views. So Google's BigQuery gives a lot of publicly available data sets for free. So we can access them without providing a credit card. So right now we'll use that link to access one or couple of data sets from that publicly available data sets, and then we'll see how views and caching would look like in BigQuery. So we'll use this link here. So since the credit card is not required, so we'll go ahead and we can quickly see like how the views and the caching would look like. So you guys can I'll post this link in the chat, and you guys can start using this, and we can practice at the same time. So please let me know as you are if you have any questions or facing problem. So once you have gone to this link, you can either select a new create a new project, or use an existing project. I will create a new project here. You can also I'll use this project 1. So for now, if you see, we have this. Are you guys able to see this BigQuery public data?
Yes.
Yeah. So from there you can. We will use this. The data set COVID-19 New York Times NYT, and we'll use the table US states. So from the editor, we'll fire some SQL queries here, and we'll just see how it goes. So here we'll first mention select star from the project BigQuery public data, and dot COVID-19 NY underscore NYT is the data set, and the US state is the table. So this data set has 4 different tables here. We are going to use US types. You can check the schema or details or how the preview is. So we'll quickly see how many how the queries would look like here, the results. Yeah. So this is you need to have a project selected. So I will select a project and then run this query. So here it has 20,000 rows, which was received in like 1.7 seconds. So looking at the data, we have date, we have the state name, we have this state code, and we have the confirmed cases and the deaths over here. And then we will have we will try to give SQL query with condition that we want to look for the state New York, the selecting all the information from this table for the state New York, and then we will give order by 2, which is the column number 2 that we have as per date. So you can click on compose new query or use that existing query, existing editor for running this query. So here we see that we have 380 records, and it provides us with information. Okay. Yeah. So it gives us this information with the query where we are giving the from this data, from this table, we are just providing the state name, which is from here the New York, and order by 2, where it is it will organize give data as per ascending date order. So next we'll make some changes to the query where we are gonna create another column here, and we will create a column for providing month and providing format to the date. So this is the query for that. So here you will see that format. This format will be given to the date, where the name of the month and the year would be displayed in the column, and for the state New York. So this is how it looks. So a new column was created when we wrote it in this way, and this format gives the month name and the year, and the remaining is the same as we provided in the query, the same table and with the condition as state name as New York. Okay. So next we'll make some more changes to that, and we'll add one more state to that along with New York. We'll also look that up for Michigan. Okay. So here we are asking. So here we want to look for the state name. Here we'll have columns of state name and the new format of month that we just wrote, and also another column where we will have max of confirmed cases. Like this is one column over here which gives us the 1 minute. If you see, it gives us in that like how many confirmed cases were shown on that particular day. But okay, so but what we are trying to do in this query is like we want from this column confirmed cases, we want to have like in that particular month, like if you see here, if you check here, then it shows information for like for March 2020 it says 1 and then 2. So it means it is like addition of the previous one 2. So when it means that on 6th March it had 44, that means it is a cumulative number, which means it also has the previous edition. Like in total, if you see at the end of March, what was the number? If you see 31st March, if you see, so this was the number 76,211. It is like having addition, it has all the numbers of March. Okay, so that is the actual number of people affected in that month. So this is what we have written here in the query. So max of that column, confirmed cases, and then we want it like, yeah, so yeah, it is from this table. So the condition where includes New York and Michigan. So we are taking two uh, uh, states here into consideration, and it is gonna group by the state name and the month. So for this March month or any of the following months, so for it will give us the total number of the confirmed cases for the state New York and Michigan for both for the months March and April. For each month we would have information for these two states. Okay, so if I have given the query, yeah, so we'll run this. So here it says Michigan for March 2020, this was the number as we checked over here. Okay, I'll just check it one more time. Yeah, 76211 was 31st. So here I think there is some change. Yeah, I think it has removed some part here. Maybe the 1st of March or the 31st. Yeah. I think there is some change here, but it is a number for, but our, yeah, the previous query was for just New York. So this is, yeah, this query was just for New York here. So this one is different, a query with Michigan having 76 number and New York would have some other number for March. Yeah, as I was saying, yeah. So I'm sorry, I was viewing New York against Michigan in this one. So as we checked in that query, in this one, the number was 76211. That was New York, and the above one, it was showing for Michigan. Okay, so that is addition, like, cumulative number of that particular month. So here we see that, yeah, the only thing, the column name has not appeared well, so we'll just add one thing here as, and we can provide the column name, and it would change the column name for us. Okay, so I'll give you that one also. Okay, so next we will, we'll create since we have the result here, I'm sorry, So we have the result here. We'll create a view for this one. We'll have it stored in by creating a view. So using a new query. So this is the, you just have to change it with your project name over here. We also need to create a data set. Okay, just simply create a data set. Where is the option? Yeah, add data. I'm sorry, where did does anybody see where the option for creating the data set? It was just
You need to go into the project left side. Not that one. Down view pinned object. View pinned projects is there, no? Left side. In the Explorer.
Yeah. Yes. So from here, click on, like, yeah, thank you, Mahita. Click on the project and just click on create data set. You could just simply provide any data set name you want to, and click on create data set. Okay, so it would create this one here. It's an empty one, so for you, for now, it would look like this. So just change this query with the project name that you have. Project, it is the project ID that is unique. You need to give it here. Give it a data set name that you just created and any name that you want as, and then make sure that you provide this as well properly. And where was I? I'll just change this to another view. Okay, so I just change this view name. Okay, and it creates a new like a view for me, and the results get stored in this. It says that the query has completed in 2 seconds. And we'll view those results using this query. Okay, so you need to change it with the project name, the entire dataset name that you have with the view name, and then you will be able to see the result. Yes, yeah, this is the previous one. Wait a minute. So as I did select star from this, so this was my query, like creating a view with this query. So I have all the and when I view it, I have all the data from that table transferred to this view. Okay. Yeah. So if I wanted to create, anybody talking?
Yes, it's me, Rajeshri.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I'm not able to hear you. Can you speak a bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, with me, like that Google Cloud Console, it just loaded. I have two questions. Is
Uh-huh.
it at a project level what you're creating a table,
Yeah.
or and is it a paid, like we cannot do it if we don't have those credentials?
Yeah, even if you don't have that your credit card, are
Mm-hmm.
you talking about some other credentials?
No, same, yeah,
Yeah,
credit
your
card.
credit card details, right? Yeah, even if you have not provided the credit card details, we have access to this public data set, and everything that I did right now and I shared the SQLs, you can
Copy
no,
paste.
yeah, copy paste and run all of them
At
and
Yeah,
practice.
but at what level we can do that? At project level or at the data set level, like?
It's for viewing, right? So
Yeah.
at any level it would be accessible for you. You will be able to uh, the data sets are yeah, for selecting purpose only it will be available. I haven't when you see I will show it to you here. So when the project that we created now, then you can do any DML on that, like you can update, delete, or do anything when it comes to your
Mm-hmm.
own project, but you won't be able to modify any of these.
Okay.
Yeah, from here, from this providing this, the project name, like this is the project name, BigQuery public data. These are the data sets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all these are data sets, and everything inside them, this is the table.
Right.
Yeah, so and here you can use this path and then use it in your create
Data
your
set.
own data set and transfer all the tables into your own.
So
Okay.
initially, where did you wrote these select statements? Like, because I missed that. It just loaded
Oh,
at my place actually, Google
oh,
Console.
okay, no problem. So yeah, first I had my project created, and every time I used this editor, and then I created for views. But when I wanted to create like when I wanted this view to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted this view to be created in my data set, at that time only
You
I
created
created
a new data
a
set.
new data set. Otherwise, all the other queries that I wrote was just in my project. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah. Welcome. Any other questions? So next we'll quickly look into how that um, caching can be viewed here, can be seen over here. So I'm using the same project here, but a different from this BigQuery public data, we'll use a different data set, that is Iowa. Let me find it. Yeah, this Iowa liquor sales, you can view them here. It has all this of schema details are already available. So this is the table ID. So whenever you want to use any of the tables from here, just make sure that you change this colon to dot and just write it in the query. Like when you want to say select star from selects star from want to say from this table. So what you will do is have this copy just this one, and instead of this colon just make it dot. Okay, and then run it. So since it's getting queried for the first time from this data set, so it is taking a lot of time. See, it's getting more than 20 seconds. It could take approx 30-40 seconds when it's initially loading it. It's such a large data set. See the number of rows it has. Okay, and it is displaying first 100 records to us, but it loaded all the rows into this. That's why it took 40 seconds. So if you run this command again, okay, so it gave you the result in 0 seconds because it was cached. So initially, this is how caching happens. So first time the query is like it's hit, it takes all the time that it needs to have that data available, and then once it is available, it is cached in a temporary memory where if you have the same query, yeah, then it takes in very less time or no time to display the answer. But you make any change to it, you're gonna like if you say that I want to have this, if you say that I will make you want to use this query to have the information based on particular date, which is like this, like then too it is going to take a lot of time. Now this is not going to come. Oh yeah, since I have already this is for me, it is picking up from the cache because I have already run this query. You guys should this, if you guys are using this for the first time, it should take you more time. Please let me know if it picked up from the cache. Anybody there, are you able to try, or it was like, since anybody able to try this one?
Sana, can you change the date and try?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if I say yeah, so it was a new date for that query, so it is actually querying that database table. Yeah, so it was approx 5.4 GB and it took 23 seconds. But if I run again, so it took 1 second, 1 millisecond, and then it was picked up from cache. So this is how caching happens. Okay, any questions? Yeah, so we can go to this. I'm sorry. So here, which of these statements about BigQuery caching is true? So by default, query results are not cached. BigQuery caches query results for 48 hours. Query results are cached even if you specify a destination table. Or D, there is no charge for a query that receives its results from cache.
D.
This one seems,
D.
yeah, there is no charge for a query that receives its result. Next is, you are running Redis cache using Cloud Memory Store. One day you receive an alert notification that the memory usage is exceeding 80%. You do not want to scale up the instance, but you need to reduce the amount of memory used. What could you try? So here the options are uh, A, setting shorter TTLs and trying a different eviction policy, the 3-tier layers, and trying a different eviction policy, switching from basic tier to standard tier. C, exporting the cache. There is no other option, you must scale the instance.
D.
Here the answer is A. So here, setting a shorter TTLs, 3-tier layers, will make keys eligible for, eviction sooner, So trying something different would not work here. And over here, the answer A, having this, will that's the more appropriate option that we can choose. So next one is, you have a large number of files that you would not like to store for several years. The files will be accessed frequently by users around the world. You decide to store the data in multi-regional cloud storage. You want users to be able to view files and their metadata in a cloud storage bucket. What role would you assign to those users? Assume you are practicing the principle of least privilege. First is like the role would be of creator, next is viewer, then C is admin, and D bucket list. What would you choose if you have data and you want to store it for several years? What role would you give?
B.
Yeah, that's right, B. Viewer role is always better choice than giving any other options to others. So now next, you're working on a project with two compliance requirements. The first requirement states that your developers should be able to see the GCP billing charges for only their own projects. The second requirement states that your finance team members can set budgets and view the current charges for all projects in the organization. The finance team should not be able to view the project contents. You want to set permissions. What would you do? Add the finance team members to the default IAM owner rule. Add the developers to a custom role that allows them to see their own spend only. Add the finance team members to the billing administrator role for each of the billing accounts that they need to manage. Add the developers to the viewer role for the project. Add the developers and finance managers to the viewer role for the project. Add the finance team to the viewer role for the project. Add the developers to the security reviewer role for each of the billing accounts.
C.
Yeah. No, this is B. Adding the finance team members to the billing administrator role, so that they can have, as being an administrator, they will see the billing accounts and they can manage. And the developers would be at the viewer role for the project. The finance team would be the admin, and the developers would be at the viewer role. So the last question for today is this: which of the following is not possible using primitive roles? Give a user viewer access to BigQuery and owner access to Google Compute Engine instances. Give user A owner access and user B editor access for all data sets in a project. Give a user access to view all data sets in a project but not run queries on them. Give group A owner access and group B editor access for all data sets in a project. Any guesses? So here the answer is C. Give a user access to view all datasets in a project but not run queries on them. This is not possible using primitive rules. Yeah. Thank you. Any questions?